Hey, what's happening, everybody? Back at it again. Want to show you how to actually put a newsletter together. So maybe you already have an audience that you want to be communicating a blog to, a newsletter to, or this is something you want to start from scratch and actually build a list of people by offering them to subscribe to a newsletter. So great way to showcase your expertise, your insight, to promote various products and services, and really just to spearhead a community as well, because there's another component to this that I'll tie into if I don't forget. But let's jump into how to actually do this within DU. And there's a couple different ways that you can do this, but this is the way I was thinking through that I think makes the most sense. And there's a couple steps to it, but not as complicated as what it may seem. And so there's, let me just give you the lay of the land, if you would, on what you're going to need to do this. You need a blog, right? You need somewhere where you're actually writing the content that you're going to be sharing with people. That's number one. B, you're going to need a form of some sort that people can opt into that says they want to subscribe to your newsletter. Okay. C, you're going to need some type of product if it's a paid for newsletter. So within DU, you'd create basically a subscription, let's say. So if it's a monthly subscription, annual subscription, or one time payment, you could do that as well. Whatever you see fit for your particular business, you'd want a product or subscription if it's a paid for feature. Okay. If not, then you don't need that. Then you would need a workflow. You need something that tells the system to say, hey, when this person signs up for the newsletter, I want them to be tagged in a particular way, because we're going to use that tag in the next step, which is actually having an email that automates the sending of these updated um, posts that you have. And it's through an RSS feed. And in case you haven't messed with an RSS feed before, um, I'm going to get you the exact definition. It's really simple syndication. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. I almost forgot what the actual name of it is, but it's really simple syndication. Really, what it is just pulling a string of information, data from a particular place, in this case, a blog, and it's aggregating that information into wherever you're telling it to, and it's sending it out. Okay. And so you might have witnessed some of this stuff with news aggregators or with podcasts, etc. And so it operates very similar to the blogging sphere. We're going to show you how to do it. It's not as crazy as what it sounds. All right. I'm actually going to show you how to pull an RSS feed from Digital Unicorn if you have your blog set up in here. But if you don't and you're doing something else, you have a blog situated on WordPress or whatever, I'll show you how to pull it from there as well. All right, let's get started. So from the get-go, we're going to jump in here, and the first thing I wanted to show you is, how to get this from your blog if you have a blog within Digital Unicorn. So if you're in here, you go to sites and blogs, you would already have your blog established and set up. If not, we do have a previous video that shows you how to set up the blog. Okay, but once you have it set up already, you're going to go to your settings here, and you're going to notice that we got a tab up here that says RSS, and this is the RSS feed. So we're going to copy that, and that's what we're going to use in a bit. I'm not going to worry about that now. We'll come back to it. Just wanted to show you where it's at. Okay, the second piece was the form that I had mentioned. The way you get that is you go to sites, forms, you can go to builder, you can just add form from the get-go. Okay, and I'm going to pull in, we'll use one of these forms as well. The next step, as mentioned, is a product. You're going to need a product of some sort if it's a paid for feature, and that's under payments and products. Okay, we can go into another video in depth of how to set that up for a one-time payment of a product or a subscription. The options are in there in the pricing section, but just wanted to show you where it's at. All right, and then as mentioned, we're going to need a workflow. Under your automation section, you can create a workflow. This is going to be a really simple workflow. It's a two-step workflow. A, we have a trigger of the form that they're submitting. B, we tag them. That's it. Okay, really simple. We're not really sending anything else there unless you want to move them into, a pipeline. You want to move them into your CRM and start nurturing that customer in another way. Or one of the things I was going to get to later is actually bring them into your community and put them into a group. And that's under your membership section here. If you got a community already set up, okay. If you do, you probably already set up your first group, but you could put them into a particular group once you've tagged that person, and you have done that in the workflow, and you can just automate it, so you don't have to worry about it. Any new people that come in, they would automatically get put into the community. Okay, that's a little bit more of an advanced feature, but great for building, a culture around your newsletter. All right. And then the last piece is the actual email itself, because you got to be able to send it out. And so I'm going to show you how to create an email that includes that RSS feed, and then you tell it what parameters it needs. Okay, what day it's going to go out, what time it's going to go out, and who the tag is that it's going to be going out, because that's going to be the audience that you have. All right, let's get to it. So first things first, I showed you how to get the RSS feed again under sites, blogs. Okay, let's go back here. I'll show you again. So sites, blogs, go to settings, RSS tab, and this is the RSS feed. Okay, we're going to move on to our form though. So let's say I built a form. I'm just going to use this one as an example here. Okay, and now we'll name it this, Gym Lead Generator. Okay, so you got your form however you want it. You can get as complicated with this as you see fit. Down here, we really don't need the payment box here if it's a free newsletter as mentioned, but if you are going to use it, I would suggest switching this up again. This button over here on the side where you got your elements, you see where it says sell products, you're going to go ahead and use this one instead. So we're going to go back to this other step. As I mentioned, if you are going to do a paid for newsletter, I would create a product and make a subscription to it, or one-time payment, whatever it is. And then you're going to drag this button over here, right? And you're going to use this block to then go ahead and add a product. Okay. I don't have a payment gateway set up in this account, so I can't really show you holistically what that looks like, but it's pretty simple. You drag this over here. You're going to select the option here. Okay. I'm just going to do this. Okay. We click on that object. Over here on the right hand side, you can edit now this object. And so we're going to add a product. I'm going to pick a product from here, and we're just going to use this as an example, this digital download that I have. I'm going to add that, and now it shows that it's a $100 product. Doesn't have an image because I never added an image to it, but you can do whatever you wanted to here. Let's just do kind of like this beanie that I made. Let's do that. All right, that's cool. All right, so we're going to do that one instead. I'll delete this other one. All right, so we got a beanie that we made. Actually, let me change it. I want this other beanie. Or sweater. Let's do the sweater. Sweater's cool. All right. Bam. Make it happen. Oops. What happened here? I need to refresh it here. So we get to do this workshop at real time. So you get to see how we work through this. All right. So again, I'm going to get rid of this this particular one. I don't want to collect a payment through this one. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to add a product here. I'm going to click on that. We're going to add product. I'm going to select the product. We'll do the sweater that I was mentioning. I thought I had something else in here, but we'll do some swim trunks. How about that? Bam, that looks cool. All right. So now you can see the product there. Okay, I'm going to save that. Or I'm not going to save it because I'm not actually going to use it. But this is how you would add a paid for product. Again, if you don't need it, you can get rid of that. Save your form. If you want to customize what happens afterwards, go to this little button right here under styles and options. Go to options. On submit, you can tell a particular message. Thanks for signing up to this newsletter, etc. Or you can redirect them, to another URL if needed, etc. Okay, whatever you see fit. In this case, I think a welcome message does the trick because they're going to get an email afterwards anyways. So once you got your form set up how you want, you're determining if this is a free newsletter opt-in or a paid one. We're going to get out of here. And we know that's done. The next thing that we're going to go do is we're going to set up a workflow. Okay, and as mentioned, this is a really simple workflow. You can just start from scratch. And that's under automations, right? We're going to start this from scratch. I'll rename this to Gym Newsletter Example or Demo. We'll do that. We're going to add a trigger, and in this case, it's a form, right? And we're going to tell it what form. So we've got to filter down to this form being a particular form. So in this case, it's that lead generator form for gym. We're going to save that, okay? As soon as that's done, we're going to add another action. This action is going to be a tag, okay? And in this case, we're going to add a tag and say, name it whatever you want. Let's say Gym Newsletter Demo. We'll just keep it the same, okay? So now anytime somebody submits that form, they're going to get tagged with Gym Newsletter Demo as a tag. And as I mentioned, that's it at this point. That's really all you need to make this function. But if you want to take it a step further, and let's say, grant somebody permission to your group, you could add them to your group from here. So automatically it would just put them into that group and now they have access to it. Kind of a cool way to do that as well. If you want to start building a community via this newsletter in a different format other than them just getting an email from you. Okay. So that's an option as well. But let's just keep it simple for now. We're going to save that. I'm not going to publish it because we're not going to fire this off, but I'm just going to show you how this all comes together. All right. So just to recap where we're at so far, we found our RSS feed for our blog. We know where that's at. Okay. We created a form, right? Depending on whether it's a paid for or free newsletter, you may have already created a product or a subscription for it that was attached to that form. Okay. And now we created a workflow that's simply telling it when somebody opts into this form, they get a tag. All right. Next step is going to be the actual newsletter itself. So we're going to go ahead and just create one. Actually, I'll just create one from scratch. Let's do that. Which one looks nice here, guys? Let's see. Well, we were doing gym, right? So let's stick with the gym theme. And we'll use, which one looks cool? I don't know what that one's about. Let's do these ones running. That looks kind of cool. But let's do this one. That looks more like an actual gym. All right. Either way, we're not going to change up the template too much here. I'm just going to show you where to put the RSS feed in. That's all. Okay. So this template's getting loaded up. And while that's loading up, it's probably done by now. I need to refresh it. While it's loading up, we're going to go back here to your blog. So under sites, blogs, and then the RSS. Okay, so sites, blogs. We're going to go to settings, RSS. I'm going to copy this RSS feed because we're going to use that here in a second. Okay. I'll refresh to see if this actually came through. It's taking too long. Okay. And didn't look like it loaded, so we're going to do that again. All right. Let me give it a second here. It's pretty fast, though, as you can see. And it's working really fast, and it's working most of the time. All right, we're going to leave all this as it sees fit. A lot of text here. We probably don't need all this stuff, so we're going to say there's a title here, introducing to this week's newsletter. Right? That's like a placeholder for you, okay? Whatever you need to have on here, you can add here. It's cool. And if you want to add extra elements, just go to the plus icon over here, obviously. You can add whatever elements that you want and see fit within here. In this example, we're just going to add the RSS feed. So one of these elements in here, two of them, you can see there's an RSS header and an RSS item. The header is the actual name of your blog. So depending on where your blog's hosted, this could look different. So I would technically just recommend not including that. And instead of putting this here, if you want to give it a title like the gym newsletter, you could just put that in the text instead. Okay. Just to avoid that so we don't complicate things for you. But you do need this piece here, the RSS items. The RSS items is the actual feed. That's actually the blog post that it's going to be pulling. Okay. So we're going to need that one here. And you could leave that just as you see fit there. We might not need that button, but we're going to leave it for this example here. Okay. So we're going to rename this. What do you say? Newsletter demo. That's what we named it, right? All right. So we're like, hey, this looks good. Ready to roll. Awesome. Okay. We're going to go ahead and schedule this out. Okay. Get a little preview here. And now up here is where you're going to switch things up. See, so typically you could just send an email out to your audience, however you want to do that, whether you're choosing all your audience, a smart list via tag, which is what we're going to do, or some other pre-built segments. Okay. But up here, we're going to make sure you check this box right here, this little bubble, our schedule. And then from there, Now here's where you put in that RSS feed we're talking about. That's why it's so important, okay? You're going to load that in here. And basically, now that that's in here, our template's saying, hey, I'm going to pull in this RSS feed, okay? And that's what's going to go out, all right? And so you can tell it the number of feeds. So let's just say we want 3 at most on there. Let's say we want to send this out every Saturday, okay? Hypothetically. That's the date we're going to send it out. And maybe we want this every week on a Saturday at 9 a.m., we're going to say, okay, potentially. And so let's say that's our parameters here. Okay. Oops. And I got to verify my email here. So hang with me, because I have my other email in here. Okay. All right. So now the email is verified. All right. Now you can determine all this other stuff here. I'm not going to send it out, but as mentioned, this is the important part about the tag. So this is why we did the tag on that workflow. Okay. So we're going to choose a tag from our list here, and we should have the gym one that shows up somewhere. There it is. Gym newsletter demo. All right. So now this thing knows that anytime this newsletter is going out, it's only sending it to those that are on gym newsletter demo. All right. That's pretty important there. But here's a little preview of what it's going to look like. Okay. If you want to look at it in full browser mode, you can see it here. It gives you a little bit bigger view of what that looks like. If you want to send yourself a test email, which I highly recommend you do before you send this out to a mass group, then send yourself a test email. I'm actually going to do that right now. I'll send myself a test. Okay. We're using the same, we need that RSS feed. Okay. So you can see what it looks like. All right. And then you can fill out the stuff as needed. But we're just going to send this out as a test. And I'll find this on my phone. Let's see what this looks like. So I can show you. Bam. Came in already. So there it is. As you can see, it's got the logo spot on top. I had that image. It's already pre-populated. And it's got some text already from it. So, it's pulling the text from the first blog that I have. So that RSS feed has this blog about beeswax. So it's only one blog that I have on that blog demo. But as you can see, it pulls it up there. And then on the bottom, it says read now. So if somebody wanted to click on that and open it up in a browser, they could do that. And it's going to pull up the actual blog, right? Where it's at. Okay. Awesome. So as you can see, it works. So from this point, we know it's working as long as you use the right RSS feed. Now, if we wanted to, I'm not going to do it, but we could schedule that out, because once you click this, after you got all this set up, once you click that, that bad boy's firing off. Okay. Anybody on that tag list is going to be getting that. So hope that makes sense 100%. If not, you could share a comment and we'll dig into it a little bit further. But let me recap for you real quick what we just went through. Okay. We found out that, hey, if we got a blog, we need an RSS feed. This is what's going to pull the blog posts. We built a form. We created a product if this was going to be a paid for type of newsletter. We created the workflow that told the system that once they fill out a form, they get tagged. And then we use that tag in the actual construction of the email newsletter. So anytime somebody opts into it, they get tagged, and this thing gets sent out according to the schedule that we predetermined. And that's it, right? On a previous video, I did show you how to get your RSS feed from an outside source, and actually show you real quick how to do that here too. Not to give you too much, but if you do have a blog that's not in DU, you have to look at the backend code to find the RSS feed, and it's not as crazy as it sounds. So if you go to your website, click on the menu option here within Chrome is what I'm in right now. You can go to more tools, developer tools. It's going to pull up all this kind of intimidating looking stuff. But if you just click in here somewhere, Control F, and then hit RSS, you're going to have to scroll through this depending on how many records show up, but you'll be able to find the RSS feed. So in this case, you can see it pulled up this one, and this would be my actual RSS feed right here. Okay. and I could copy that, and that's the RSS feed that I would use instead of this one up here. Okay, but that's how you find it. So hope that information was helpful, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Here to help you out. Hope you have a phenomenal day, and we will catch you on the next one.